Have you ever had to deal with a customer who just seemed impossible to please? Do you find yourself drained after interacting with toxic clients? What if you could handle even the most difficult clients without losing your cool? Today, I'm sharing tips on how to handle toxic customers, from understanding their psychology to setting boundaries, and even how to turn those negative experiences into opportunities for growth. And if you want even more tips on handling difficult situations and growing your business, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's get started. Okay, let's start by talking a little bit about the psychology behind difficult clients. Why do customers act out in the first place? Well, most commonly, it has nothing to do with your business. The truth is, we live in a very stressful environment. And a lot of times, people may come into your business with stresses from other things that may have happened that day. A lot of times, they just come in with expectations that have gone unmet, or even in situations where your business is just unable to provide what they're looking for, and they project those frustrations onto you, your staff, or even in an online review, which is totally unfair to you and your business. Sometimes people just have lack of impulse control, or maybe there are other personal things that are going on in their life that are making them feel frustrated and angry. And again, they project those frustrations onto you or your business, or act out in a way that's totally unprofessional. Now, the key is to recognize these emotional triggers and learn how to respond more effectively. By keeping your cool and you staying in control of the situation, you can quickly diffuse tension and maintain a professional interaction with all your customers. One big way to do this is by using empathy. Now, empathy doesn't mean that you necessarily agree with what they say or even justify their behavior. Empathy means being able to maybe step into their shoes, or even just understanding their perspective or acknowledging their frustration. Again, it doesn't mean that you have to agree or condone the behavior, but it does go a long way toward diffusing potentially tense situations. Let's discuss a few communication techniques that can definitely help in diffusing tension when it comes to dealing with toxic customers. 4 communication techniques come to mind. The first one is active listening. Sometimes, even though we want to jump in and state our case or get into an argument with a toxic customer, it's often more important to just let the customer vent. Sometimes just being quiet is a lot better than anything that might come to mind at the moment. When you listen to a person's concerns fully without interrupting, you validate their feelings, which can immediately kind of lower the temperature of the conversation a bit. Number 2 is to stay calm and use neutral language. When faced with a toxic customer or someone who's upset, try lowering your voice and using neutral body language. This is another technique that even police negotiators use when diffusing tense or even hostile situations. Number 3 is paraphrasing and clarification. It's often helpful to paraphrase a person's concern just to make sure that you understand what they said. Again, it does not mean that you necessarily agree with their position. You just want to ensure that you understand and hear what they're saying. Phrases like, "So what I'm hearing is that you're frustrated with blank. Is that correct?" These types of phrases go a long way to calming the other person because they feel heard, acknowledged, and know that their feelings are being expressed and communicated successfully to the other person. Finally, express your perspective using I statements. That way, you can avoid sounding accusatory or defensive. Okay, let's talk a little bit about setting boundaries and maintaining professionalism. Now, you might not naturally think about setting boundaries with people, but it's an important part of both professional and personal growth. You may be wondering, why do boundaries matter so much? Well, they matter because it's important that you protect your emotional energy. When toxic people come into your life, whether it's in a personal or a professional setting, they tend to rob you of emotional energy. And you only have so much emotional energy to accomplish what you need to accomplish in a given day. When running a business, maybe supporting your employees, or even interacting with other customers, you have to protect and maintain a certain level of emotional energy so that you don't feel drained or burned out. So it's important when dealing with toxic customers that you use firm but respectful language. Communicate in a way that gets the point across and allows you to say no without being disrespectful or rude. It's important to say no or to set limits without coming across as rude to the other person. You might try a statement like, "I understand your frustration, but I need to follow company policy on this matter." That way, your point comes across loud and clear without being rude or offensive to the other party. Additionally, it's always important to maintain control of the situation. As a small business owner, this is your business. You're the boss. You're the one that needs to maintain control of the situation. If you don't, then potentially other customers might try to follow the same path, take advantage of you, or try to be rude or belligerent just to get their way or get you to cater to unreasonable demands as well. Staying in control of the situation and keeping the conversation firm but respectful, it's always important to stay in control of the conversation and redirect any negativity. This way, you can work towards a more productive outcome. Finally, it's important to know when to walk away. It's important to remember that not every customer is worth the time and the stress. Remember that there are plenty of other customers out there, no matter what type of business you're in. And sometimes it's best just to end the relationship or disengage politely with the person, but make it clear that you no longer wish to do business with them again. Many times, that's the best course. You'll walk away with your dignity intact, and you'll also be able to maintain control over your business. Many times, negative experiences or interactions with toxic customers can be turned around into learning experiences that can either be used for training or for further development. Here are some ways that this can be done. Number one, reflect and improve. If you have a difficult interaction with a customer, or maybe you have to end a relationship with a client, reflect on that experience and take what you can from it. Maybe there's something that you could have done differently. Maybe there's an area of your business that you might want to refine for future customers, or it even could be a line of business that you no longer want to pursue. Whatever the reason, it's important to take a step back and see what you can learn from it. Second is team training. A lot of times, interactions with toxic customers or difficult clients can be used as case studies to train new employees or to onboard people to different departments in your team. For example, maybe your sales and marketing team can use this difficult interaction as a stepping stone or a case study on how to improve their particular sales experience or grow their skills to be able to handle future customers, even the ones that might be toxic or may have frustrations. Finally, if you haven't done so already, you can use difficult interactions as a feedback loop. If you don't have a way for customers to leave constructive feedback, put one in place. Maybe it's written, Maybe it's a suggestion box. Maybe it's an online form. But a lot of times you want to be able to intercept any negative or constructive feedback before people go on the third-party websites or post things on social media about your company. Addressing these types of feedback can really prevent long-term damage because a lot of times if people see that there's a lot of negative feedback that hasn't been addressed or answered, then that begins to call into question the integrity of the company. And that's something that you definitely don't want. So again, use this as an opportunity to implement a feedback loop if you haven't done so already. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the hidden costs of difficult customers. It's something that you don't always think about as a small business owner, but these hidden costs are there, eating away at your profit margin. Here's why. The fact is that difficult customers drain resources. Customers who come into your business and they want more than what your business can offer, or they just come in with a bad attitude, they generally take up more time to make them happy. They require more resources because you or your team members have to go out of your way and disrupt normal business operations to make them happy. And if left unchecked, they can even affect team morale. Many employees have quit because the manager or the business owner has constantly given in to unreasonable demands by toxic customers or unreasonable customers or people that just want something for nothing. Be very careful about this because your employees watch. You don't want to constantly side with toxic customers or give in to unreasonable demands. Having to deal with toxic customers also places a heavy toll on your emotional energy. It can really drain you. Whether you realize it or not, dealing with toxic customers or clients who always complain, it robs you of your emotional energy. And again, it can lead to burnout if it's not managed properly. Ultimately, the question you need to ask yourself is it worth it? Instead of allocating resources to constantly make toxic customers happy, wouldn't it be better to prioritize the customers who are really adding value to your business, trying to make sure that you're rewarding your most loyal customer? These are the customers that will support you regardless of the economic climate. These are the type of clients that frequently return for repeat business. And these are the type of customers that you truly want to express your appreciation to. So instead of constantly having to deal with toxic customers or give in to demands that you really don't want to give into, instead focus that energy and those resources on making your most loyal customers happy. If you've been in business any length of time, you've no doubt heard the old adage, the customer is always right. Before we wrap up, I want to address why this is such bad advice. We've been conditioned to think that the customer comes into our business, always makes reasonable demands, and what they say is always true. Well, this simply is not the case. Believing this myth often leads to more harm than good. As I've mentioned throughout the video, believing this myth will lead you to allocate more resources to just making people happy. And the simple truth is that some people will never be happy, no matter what you do for them, no matter how much you go out of your way to try to accommodate them. They will still be unsatisfied and may still even give you negative feedback or bad reviews on various platforms. You have to really stop and critically analyze whether it's worth it to go above and beyond to try to make these types of customers happy. When dealing with toxic customers, it's very important to empower your team. Many times you can de-escalate a situation by just giving your employees the autonomy to be able to handle many complaints or many situations on their own without even having to come to you. But when doing that, it's important to back them up. If they tell you that a customer's request is unreasonable, give them the benefit of the doubt. Your employees are there to help support your business. And sometimes not giving in to unreasonable demands is the best way to accomplish that. It's very important that you retain a team that will continue to support your business, and you don't want to frustrate and discourage your team. Rejecting the myth that the customer is always right is good for your long-term business health as well. Setting clear expectations and enforcing and maintaining boundaries leads to a healthier customer base and a much more positive working environment for your team. Now, admittedly, the concept of setting boundaries might seem a little foreign or even a bit uncomfortable to a lot of small business owners, but it's a vital component of personal growth and self-improvement. If you want to learn more about setting boundaries and asserting yourself both personally and professionally, check out my book, Breaking Free from the Victim Mindset. It's a deep dive into how you can develop a mindset that embraces courage, resilience, and self-ownership. It's available on Amazon, so be sure to check it out. We've covered a lot in this video, but I'd really like to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever had to deal with a toxic customer? And if so, how did you handle it? Be sure to subscribe for more content on business growth and personal development. Again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.